Every day we're losing more and more freedoms. And right now you and I may be free, but we can never forget that some of our brothers and sisters are locked up. They're not free. And why are they locked up? They're not locked up because they hurt anybody, no. They're locked up because they hold a camera or they talked about the wrong judge. And that's where we're at today. If you're part of alternative media, you hold a camera, you speak about freedom, you speak about judges who have too much power, and you risk being thrown in jail. I have not talked about Ammon Bundy and his Patriot friends and Pete Santilli. We have not talked about them in a while, but we have to keep them in our thoughts and our prayers because they sit locked up in a cage like an animal. And I ask you, who did they hurt? They hurt no one. All Pete Santilli did was hold a camera, and he spoke loud in a bullhorn. And that's where we're at in America today, that if you hold a camera and you speak loud in a bullhorn, that they will throw you in jail and throw away the key. I mean, they're picking us off one by one. How can we sit here in silence? We cannot sit in silence. We have to bring up the fact that if they can throw us in jail for holding a camera and speaking our mind, well, we're all in trouble. We're in big, big trouble. That means America is dead, dead on arrival. And we're not going to remain silent. I say free Ammon Bundy and the Patriots. I say free Pete Santilli. And of course, Pete Santilli has the ACLU helping him out. Now, many people don't trust the ACLU. I know that. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that maybe the ACLU is on the up and up this time. We're going to keep our fingers crossed that the ACLU is going to give Pete Santilli the best representation they can, because there's no way in America, if this is truly America, if this is the real America I was born and raised in, there's no way in hell that you can lock up a journalist for holding a camera and holding a bullhorn and speaking your mind. That's not the country I grew up in. No. Hell no, it's not. That's why I say free Pete Santilli. And everybody in alternative media should be worried. They should be concerned. They should stand up. Everybody in alternative media. Because we know mainstream media has already backed down. We know that mainstream media has already stood down. When they were told to stay away from Oregon, mainstream media said, okay, boss, we'll stay away. There was a complete news blackout in Oregon. There ain't no more news in America. The only real news is on alternative media. And then what did they do to the main man in Oregon? The main man, Pete Santilli, he was the only one there, the only alternative media man there. And what did they do? They locked him up? That ain't America I grew up in. No. So we have to speak out. Free Pete Santilli. And the fact is, I hear they're going to fly him down from Oregon. They're going to fly him down to Las Vegas. And that brings me to today's story. You see, we can sit around and keep our fingers crossed that the ACLU and their fancy lawyers are going to be able to work their magic and get Pete Santilli off. But that's a long shot. I mean, the federal government has a rigged game in the federal courts. The game is rigged. It's very hard to go into a federal court and beat the federal judge because they twist the rules around. They don't even tell you about nullification. The judge just instructs the jury that the federal government is the power. You listen to the federal judge, and if the federal prosecutor says they're guilty, well, they're guilty. They have like a 99% prosecution rate, win rate. I mean, how can you go into the federal courts when they rig the game and they have such a high percentage, a win percentage, they win 99% of the time, you know the game is rigged. So, maybe it's time to go to the metaphysical. And you may laugh at me. You may laugh at me and you may think I'm crazy, but I say what the hell. I say what the hell because yesterday they had a little event going on in Las Vegas. It's going on till April 2nd. I'll tell it to you really quickly how it works. You see, the way it works is this artist called Scott Cohen, he builds this big 2-story cube, and you put all your wishes on there, and you paint all your goals and your wishes and everything you want. You paint them on there, and then on April 2nd, the artist, Scott Cohen, he sets this building ablaze, and it goes on fire, and all those wishes go up into the universe. And guess what I hear? I hear that these wishes come true. Well, I know by now you're laughing at me. But that don't mean nothing to me because it's all about artwork. It's all about interactive artwork. And I do know that in many, many cultures that they have done that. In many cultures, many centuries before us, our ancestors have set their wishes ablaze into the universe and things have come true, believe it or not. I tell you what, I think we got a better chance with this setting this life cube ablaze and putting our wishes on there. And we got a better chance of freeing Pete Santilli this way than we do with a federal judge and a jury who is instructed by the federal judge that the federal government is always right, the federal government is never wrong, and how else could they get a 99% win rate? Because the game is rigged. So if the game is rigged, I don't have a whole lot of faith in the ACLU and their fancy lawyers. So now, laugh at me if you will, but now I'm turning to the metaphysical. But the main story I'm telling you today is just spread the word. Free Pete Santilli. It's the right thing to do.